This is the Dery Brothers Tribecast, a podcast for diehard Cleveland Indians fans. Presented to you by waitingfornextyear.com. Now, here are the hosts, Matt and Todd Dery.
Hey, it's the month of April, and it is another edition of the Dery Brothers Tribecast. Matt and Todd with you on waitingfornextyear.com, brought to you by the Center for Advanced Dentistry. What's going on, everybody? Here we are, April 2nd. No baseball, no nothing. Boy, it's a lot of fun, Todd. How many Tribe reruns on STO have you been watching?
I believe it's the Dery Brothers No Tribe podcast. I think that's what we're renaming it for this.
We should.
This time. How many have I watched on STL? Well, considering they've only rerun the same 5 games over and over and over and over and over again, I have seen the 97 All-Star game 80 times. I've seen the 95 Game 6 ALCS when the Indians beat Seattle to go to the World Series. Alvaro Espinosa to Herb Perry. Seen that about 10 times. Also seen 97 Game 6, 1-0, extra inning win. Tony Fernandez homer off of Armando Benitez to send the Indians to the World Series. And then they've shown the All-Star game from last year. Here's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a rights thing and, they can't pay for it or whatever. They show the 95 ALCS game. And it's like the in-stadium feed from Seattle with, what's the guy? Grand Salami Time. My, oh, my. What's that guy's name?
Dave Niehaus.
Yes, Dave Niehaus on the call. And it's like weird camera angles. And it's like the in-house feed. Like,
really?
You think Yeah. I think MLB Network must own the rights to all those games. Or something.
I'm wondering.
Not showing them.
In-house feed. That's interesting. There are certain NBA teams that only show their in-house feed. That's a good bit.
Good bit. Yeah, that's for sure. No, but I have taken to watching a lot of old sporting events, obviously, because they're rerunning a lot of stuff. Like ESPN the other night showed the first that Mets Braves game when Piazza hit the home run to win after 9/11, which was cool. And I was just flipping through, you forget about players like the Braves went to left-handed reliever Mike Remlinger,
Oh yeah.
And you know who gave up that home run to Piazza, which I totally forgot?
I don't remember.
I'll give you 3 guesses, and my hint. I have one hint. He was an ex-Indian. And he was a pretty decent reliever for a small stretch of time. Those are my hints.
What year is this?
No cheating.
No, I'm not.
When was 9/11?
Oh, sorry. Listen, before we even started the podcast, I told you I'm up to my ears right now. I'm working like a dog. I'm literally really, really busy. And this whole work from home stuff, which, I know you're a regular at. I'm
baby.
I'm pounding this thing, man. It's like Zoom meeting, go to meeting. I'm on all these things all day. I'm doing a bunch of marketing stuff, and I'm exhausted by the end of the day.
You're like Cosmo Kramer at Brant Leland.
I'm TCB. I am.
That's right.
What's in the briefcase? Crackers.
What's funny is I've been working from home for 20 years at this point, and I believe I am the foremost expert on working from home. And everybody that I know that's now doing it is asking me and saying the same thing. Like Mark P texted me the other day, and he's like, I don't know how you do this every day for all these years. I was like, I don't know how you guys go to offices every day. I mean, it's got to be brutal. I dress how I want to dress except for when I got meetings.
Yeah.
I'm on my own schedule over here, as you well know, which is fantastic and allows me to do many things, but I'm also in sales, and you make your numbers and they leave you alone. So, former Tribe reliever,
no cheating on the Braves. I'm not cheating. No, on the Braves in September of 2011, gave up the homer to Piazza.
No, 2001, dude.
2001. Sorry, 9/11. Yeah.
Yes.
9/11/01. My son was 4 months. Sitting there watching.
I had just been married for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Or so. Or a little less than 3 weeks.
Tribe reliever. Wasn't it?
He was traded to...
Was it Derek Lilliquist?
Not Derek Lilliquist. He was traded to the Braves.
I remember the home run. I remember the ovation Piazza got. It was a deep shot to center, if I recall.
Yeah. I forgot about who gave. I never remembered who gave him the home run until I saw it.
And he was decent for the Indians?
Yes, he was. And then the Indians traded him for someone who they thought was going to be a real big difference maker, and then it didn't work.
So it was not Ricardo Rincon.
No. Little Ricky was for Brian Giles.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm 0 for 2. Traded him for somebody that we thought was going to be good?
Yes. Well, had the potential. I take it back. He had the potential to be very good and was very good at one point in his career.
I can give you Dave Niehouse's name, but I can't come up with this shit. God, this is killing me.
I'll be really mad when I tell you.
Lefty or righty?
Righty.
My first 2 guesses were left-handers.
This is some great radio.
Who cares? This is great.
The answer is State Dinner Steve Carsey.
Wow. That's unbelievable. Forgot he was with the Braves. When did he go to the Yankees?
It was after that. Remember, the Indians traded him to the Braves for John Rocker.
Ah, yes, the infamous Rocker deal.
Yeah, it was right after he made those comments in Sports Illustrated to Jeff Pearlman, and then they traded him to the Indians for Steak Dinner Steve, who had a nice little stint with the Indians. I think Carsey signed as a free agent with the Yankees after that. And isn't he in the Indians organization right now?
I believe so, as a coach, I think.
Yeah.
Steve Carsey gave up a grand slam to Juan Gonzalez at Comerica Park when the Indians had a big early lead in that game, only to falter that afternoon. It was a Saturday afternoon game. Russell Branyan had a home run
I was
off.
just going to say, was that the game that Russ put the deepest shot you said you ever saw?
I ever saw in any stadium. I mean, literally hit this ball so far upstairs at Comerica Park, which is tough to do in that big cavern off of Hideo Nomo. I mean, it was just a classic, majestic Branyan homer. I mean, just the sound it made. The only other home run that I remember making a sound like that in that stadium was actually Matt Lawton leading off opening day off of Mark Redman.
Matt Lawton?
Yes.
He was good for the Indians for about a half a season.
Didn't he make an all-star team? Or no?
With the Tribe?
With us?
He did with the Twins, I bet. He killed the Indians, and then we got him. I can't remember, and it's not in front of me. Did we trade him to the Mets, or did we get him from the Mets?
I think we got him from the Twins.
Oh, no, we got him. We got him from the Mets. I think. Was he part of the Robbie Alomar trade? We traded Robbie to the Mets.
Could be. Yeah. Yes, I think so. I think
Jared Riggin was a part of that trade, I believe.
Nice call.
Former reliever.
Oh God, yeah. Brandon hit that. Brandon
Snyder. I think he was in that deal too.
Yeah, supposed to be the first baseman of the future.
Danny Peoples. He's right up there with Earl Snyder. Those 2 guys are like the same person.
Wow. When were we talking the other day on text with Jeremy about overrated Indians? And I said, there's nobody more overrated ever than Joe Charbonneau. And it's not even a knock on Super Joe. It's just like, hey, guess who'll be out at the autographing cards at the, Meineke Buick or Ed Mullinax, Joe Charbonneau.
Ed Mullinax is a friend of mine. No, I mean, listen, the correct answer to the most overrated Indian of all time, and everyone on who listens to this, for the majority of the people are going to tell me I'm an asshole. The truth is, Sandy Alomar Jr. is the most overrated Indian in the history of the team. I say this as someone who loves Sandy and will tell you that 1997 was about as magical of a season as a player could have had. And he's a great leader and a great Indian and a great ambassador for the team. And he should stay in the organization forever. He's
gonna be the next manager.
Yeah, that's the only reason I believe he's hung around this long. But with that said, I think he played 11 years in Cleveland and only 4 times played more than 117 games. And other than his rookie season in 97, it was just like he was injured all the time. Yeah, was he? He was good, but he had many bad years too. I mean, and again, I say this as someone who totally loves Sandy.
He's a legend.
And that 97 season was as great as it gets. But Super Joe was AL Rookie of the Year in 1980, but then he was like off the team like a year or 2 later, I believe.
Yeah.
His calling card was opening beer bottles with his eyelids.
Right. I mean, he was great for about a minute, but I still say that he's viewed as a Tribe legend, and he's always at, fantasy camps, and he's always signing stuff, and he's,
Well, he needs the money. That's why he's... the fancy camp.
Like, I was on Twitter the other day, and I saw, somebody at 92.3 The Fans, and I know they're trying to fill time. I mean, doing sports radio right now has got to be tough.
Horrible. I feel so bad for... You know what, though? The guys who have real talent can get through this. The guys who don't have talent can't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, for sure. And there's some really, really good ones in Cleveland. Actually, there's more good shows in Cleveland and good hosts in Cleveland than there are in Detroit.
I believe it.
And Detroit's a bigger sports market and supposedly a better sports market. But for sports radio, I'll take Cleveland over Detroit. And I think I saw this the other day. They said, I was joining. I don't know if it was Bull and Fox or Jeff and. Andy, I don't know who it was at the Fan, and they said, Joe Charbonneau will join them. It's like, what? How much can you really talk to Joe Charbonneau?
Yeah, there's nothing to discuss with him, really. I mean, what are you going to talk about with that guy other than opening beer bottles with his eye sockets?
Well, the 1981, I don't know, the magical year.
Do you remember we used to watch that 1981 VCR tape of the Indians? I think it was called ML. I just remember they played there were two songs that were played during that video.
Steal Away.
Why
That's right.
Steal Away.
Because they talked about all the speed the Indians had.
Catch me if you can.
We watched that, so we wore that VCR tape out, man.
That's right up there with NFL 81. Savior, Saints, and Sinners was another one.
We also watched a lot of Pump It Up Pistons.
Pure Pistons.
Pure Pistons, that's right. Yeah.
Remember NBA Superstars or Dazzling Dunks and Basketball
All bloopers, that's right. Frank Layden. That's good stuff. So
those were great. Boy,
all right, well, you stumped me on the trivia question. Like I was saying before, Carsey gave up the homer to Juan Gonzalez, and after the game, I had to go in there and get sound in the Comerica Park clubhouse, obviously the Tigers, and that next week, Bobby Higginson, who was on the team.
Your boy? Baby?
I mean, he was the best the Tigers had back then, and he had a good relationship with all of us at the station when I worked at WDFN. So I was on doing afternoon updates with Stoney and Wojo, and they had Higginson on probably that week, on Wednesday. The game was said the Saturday before. And at the end of the interview, Stoney goes, "Oh, by the way, did you see Matt Dery in that locker room Saturday after the walk-off against the Tribe?" And Higgins is like, "Yeah, it was so great. He was so upset, and his jaw was dropping all the way to the floor." I'm like, okay. It was pretty funny.
That's actually kind of cool. I respect that.
It was.
I think that's cool of him.
That was a classic. Also, another classic was opening day. I don't remember what year it was. It was around that time. And Randy Smith, Republican Randy Smith of the Tigers, who I no longer follow on Twitter, and I could say that on the show. Randy's fine, but he was on. I did an interview with him on the field live on the station, and I didn't really know him that well. I mean, I knew him a little bit, but I guess he listened to the station because we were talking about the AL Central, and I said, "Oh, the Tigers, this," and he goes, and he just out of nowhere he says. White Sox are going to have a good team. The Twins are going to be good. Your boys, the Tribe. And I was like, what? This guy, it was pretty funny. So, but I was all.
While you're talking about Detroit media stories, can you tell everyone about the Robert Fick story
on the show?
Yeah, who cares? That guy's probably in a crack house somewhere.
No. I don't remember what year. I don't remember what year it was. It was.
I kid.
Whatever the year Robert Fick was the Tigers' lone All-Star. We made a joke on the show one day about how they were going to announce him when he, runs out, when they go through the line at the All-Star game, and they say, what do they say about him? And I said he had been busted that spring training or in the Arizona Fall League the year before for getting a package of marijuana delivered to him. So I made a comment. Maybe they're going to say something like busted at the Arizona Fall League or something like that. And it's somebody, and one of the Tiger Clubhouse guys, and there's plenty of people within that organization that do not like me. And quite honestly, I don't like them either. And I don't. And so a couple of the Clubhouse hands told Fick that I said that. So fast forward months later, I'm down there covering a game. I'm in the locker room. I'm talking to Shane Halter.
Oh, my God. Before you go any further, when I covered the Royals in 1997, I will never forget this as long as I live. People used to tell me this all the time about athletes. And they'd say, ball players, they get all the girls and whatever. And I remember I'm waiting outside of the clubhouse, or I walk outside the clubhouse, and I walk out with Shane Halter. And his girlfriend or wife or whoever it was waiting for him, gave him a big kiss. She was, and again, this is Shane Halter here.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm sure 95% of the people listening don't know who he is or remember him. She was maybe the best-looking woman I'd ever seen in person at that time. And I was like, Shane freaking Halter is getting this girl, okay? So if you don't think baseball players are getting – yeah, okay, sorry. Continue.
Hockey players, too.
Yes.
So I'm talking to Shane Halter, and I'm kind of directly, I would say, 40 yards maybe from the bathroom and showers. And all of a sudden, here comes this guy coming towards me in a towel and flip-flops. And he just starts screaming, "Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of here!" Like over and over again, walking toward me. It was Robert Fick. So I was like, huh? And he's like, and he stood there, and he didn't get too close to me, but he basically stood there, pointed at me again, and said, "Get the F out of here." Said it over and over again. And I said something to the effect of, "I don't even know you, Robert. Like, I'm just here doing my jobs," whatever it was. And he screamed at me about 10 to 15 times. Finally, the media relations coordinator at the time, who was spineless, Jim Anderson, came over to me.
That was the guy.
Jim came over to me. He's like, why don't we go? And I go, "No, I'm not going anywhere, Jim. I'm here to do a job. I got to get sound." And he's like, "Yeah, why don't we go outside, the clubhouse?" So then I'm walking with Jim, Fick's still yelling at me. As I get close to the doorway of the clubhouse where it kind of opened, Higginson's there. I look at him because I've known him, and I go, "Bobby, little help here?" He goes, "You're on your own." I'm like, "Oh, great." Then as I turn the corner to get toward the food room in the hallway, Dimitri Young shouldered me because he was walking past me. The old kind of shoulder to shoulder bump to kind of scare me, because Dimitri was best friends with Fick, and Dimitri Young is one scary guy. So I was pretty shaky.
And his brother is noted anti-Semite, by the way.
Delman Young?
Don't you remember Delman Young?
Yes, yeah.
Like did some anti-Semitic. I think he got arrested for in New York, like screaming at like a Hasidic guy or something.
Didn't Delman Young homer twice off of Danny Salazar in the playoff game?
Delman Young had the most famous one of the that big hit against the Tigers, I thought, with the Orioles, didn't he? Was that against the Tigers?
Yeah. It was a basis.
Or something.
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
In the playoffs. All right, sorry, proceed.
No, so I just, I got booted out of there, and I tried to state my case, and, the PR people are like, "Why don't you write a letter and apologize?" I didn't know, they wanted the tapes from the show. It was so stupid. So I was like, probably a month later, I went back down there and just walked by Fick. He walked by me, and that was it. There was no apology. I sent a letter kind of explaining what I said, but I said it was in joking tone, and I really didn't apologize, even though they were like, even my bosses at work were like, why don't you at least write the letter and explain what you said? I was like, sure, I'll do whatever I got to do, but I'm not apologizing. I made a joke.
Hell no.
I said I was getting screamed at, so that was
thin-skinned athletes.
That was a classic.
Come on. You got to give me a break. That's what he's upset about?
But see, a lot of the media in Detroit that cover the team love the team. They grew up Tiger fans, and there's that correlation just like we have with the Indians. Same type of thing. So unfortunately, I am not a Tiger slappy, nor do I buy into that organization and how they treat people. Never have. I don't think they're a good organization, and they know they know that I know that.
Let me ask you this. You worked here in 95. Before you went to Detroit, you were here in 95.
Yeah.
You worked at WHK.
I covered a bunch of games.
Well, this is where I was going. So I'm sure you went and covered the Indians in 95. In fact, I remember you being on the field at the All-Star game in 97. Oh, no, you were in Detroit then. But anyways, I mean, you were definitely covering the teams.
Yes.
And then you still liked the Browns, too. That was back before you went Browns free. So what was it like then? I mean, because you were probably still young enough to where you still had the allegiance there.
Well, I just remember, the only things that I really remember were there was one time where Jim Poole was playing ping pong with his son. What's that?
number 62, Jim
Correct.
Poole.
He was playing ping pong.
The man who Mike Hargrove allowed to try to bunt a relief pitcher in Game 6 of the World Series just so he could stay in to face Dave Justice.
Yeah, and we know how we know how
he gave up the home run that lost the game.
We know how that turned out, but I just remember one time. Look, you stayed as far away from Albert Bell as possible. That was the one thing I remembered. But there was one time I remember where Jim Poole and his son were playing ping pong, and the ping pong table was kind of near Albert Bell's locker. So if you walked into the clubhouse, Bell's locker was down like the left-hand side. I don't know what the clubhouse looks like anymore, if they've changed it. But one time that ping pong ball, man, got away and got kind of in, by Albert Bell's area. He just picked it up with his, with one hand, smushed it, and chucked it. This poor kid was just trying to play ping pong with his dad, Jim Poole. So they got another ball and they kept playing, but it was pretty funny.
Jesus. That's fantastic.
That's all I really remember.
Fantastic.
I remember when I interned in the summer of, I think it was 93. I don't know if it was
Channel 8?
At Channel 5 when I worked with
Channel 5. That would have been you were in college then.
No, I know. Yeah, no, it was either 92 or 93. I interned at Channel 5 for Nev Chandler, Matt Underwood, and Lisa Berkue, and Bob Stevens, for that matter. It was the four of them. And
how about that?
I just remember how cool Alvaro Espinoza was. He was pretty sweet. We wouldn't even go to the games. We would watch the games. I would log the games, meaning like anytime a good play happened or something, I would write down the number on the tape.
Yeah.
And somebody would edit it. I would say at the 14-15 mark, Mesa struck out whoever. That was when Mesa was a starter. And then we would leave like in the seventh inning and I'd go down in the Channel 5 truck with a camera guy, and we'd go down to the clubhouse and get interviews, and then it would come back, and I would just hold the microphone and ask some of the questions. Espinoza was awesome. I remember doing that. Those were good fun media times for sure.
Speaking of Jose Mesa, did you see? I know you're not an Instagram guy, but I saw on Instagram the Sports Time Ohio account they did like a bracket of your favorite 90s Indians players, and it was basically 1 through 8 seeds.
Yeah.
They had Jose Mesa as a 2 seed.
What? I wouldn't even have put him on there.
I said, I literally wrote a comment. I said, how could anybody take this seriously when you have Jose Mesa listed as a 2 seed, let alone listed at all? Do I need to remind them that he blew the fucking World Series?
And did so in a fashion where he's shaking off his catcher.
Oh, and let's also not forget, he beat his wife. Oh, but he's a 2 seed. What a joke.
Maybe the only thing that account remembers is the strikeout of Roberto Alomar to end the ALCS. I don't know.
Froze him. Or, listen, I will say this, and you and I were both home that year, obviously, 95. He was about as dominant as a relief pitcher not named Mariano Rivera for one season that anybody had ever seen. He blew one save, and that save, we still won the game anyways, right? I think he was like 46 for 47 and had like an ERA of like 1.
Yeah.
He was untouchable. He was.
It's one of those years. One of those years. Very similar to Jose Valverde had one of those years in Detroit. Like
I think the perfect season, and then blew a save in the playoffs, right?
I believe you're right.
Yeah.
That's crazy stuff. Dery Brothers Tribecast here on an April 2nd. No baseball, no nothing, man. I think, I asked you this the last time. I'm having a hard time thinking they're even going to play. This could be a completely lost season. If people are saying, well, is the NFL going to start on time? When are we? You're not going to be in a stadium for months.
2 weeks ago, you asked me what did I think was going to happen. And I think I said then best case scenario was like mid-July. I still think that's best case scenario. But like, let's say hypothetically, there's no, because they're saying in their deal that, the deal that the Players Association struck with the owners, that they are not going to play until all of the bans are lifted on large gatherings, because they obviously want to play in front of fans. I don't know if that's going to happen in time for them to have a season. I don't.
I agree.
I think that they could probably play with no fans, but I don't see how they're going to play with fans unless they start in September at the earliest.
So think about this. The state of Florida has the Rays, They've got the Marlins. You got this jabroni governor down there who's not even taking this thing seriously. Like DeSantis or whatever his name is, like
Ron DeSantis. The guy's a total clown.
How many people are
It tells him to do. You know how it works.
Well, yeah, but
I shouldn't be saying that.
But how many people in Florida? Whether it's people still on beaches down there, I mean, please. So
Mom told me this story, and I don't know if she told you, but she has a friend down there who her husband had heart surgery. Like Mom told me this like 2 weeks ago or so. Her husband had recently had heart surgery, and like it was right when we were like nobody here was leaving their house, and my mom called to see how this person was doing, and the wife was like, "Oh yeah, he played 18 holes of golf yesterday, and today he's out on a boat with his friends." And Mom was like, "What? The guy, he just had heart surgery. His immune system." In Florida, these people, they don't think it's real because their leadership is not telling them it's real. So, I don't want to get into all that. We should steer clear. But yeah, I mean, that's just more proof that people are dumb. But I just pulled up the favorite Indians 90s bracket. Would you like to go? Should we go over this?
Yeah, please. Actually, before you do that, can you tell everybody about Dr. Ben Hornstein, who, and again, the Center for Advanced Dentistry right now, obviously, the best move for Ben and his staff is to stay home, unfortunately, and that's not good for business, but still one of the greats and somebody that we love as a sponsor here on the Dery Brothers Tribecast.
If you were bracketing, pardon the pun, if you were bracketing dentists, the number one overall seed in Northeastern Ohio is the Center for Advanced Dentistry with Dr. Ben Hornstein.
Yes.
I said it many times.
Yes.
He cares about his patients more than you can even imagine. He's still handling emergencies despite the fact that we are in an unbelievable time right now. When things get back up and running and you need that cleaning, please go and check him out. He's on the east side of Cleveland, right off of Chagrin Boulevard in Orange Place. Dr. Ben Hornstein, Center for Advanced Dentistry, CFAD.net on the web. At CFAD Beechwood on Twitter. And if you love talking sports with your dentist and, feeling very comfortable and at ease, and I know not everyone loves to go to the dentist, but he's your guy. Check him out. I love him like he's my own family, Dr. Ben Hornstein, and hopefully this summer when and if the tribe will go back, Dr. Ben and I, you can come see us down there and in somewhere between third base and home at a tribe game. So check them out, CFAD.net, Dr. Ben Hornstein, Center for Advanced Dentistry.
All right, Matt and Todd with you, Dery Brothers Tribecast here. Please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast, thanks to our buddies at waitingfornextyear.com. All right, so give me this list. So the Indians, they did almost like a mock tournament of the best Indians of the 90s. How many players did they put on there?
Okay, so it's 1 through 4 on each side. So this is basically the Sweet 16 of 90s players. Okay, now here, I'll give you the 4 1 seeds. Let me see how good you are. Give me the 4 1 seeds in terms of favorite Indians player of the 90s. And this is solely based on, I don't know how they base this, but you get, because some of these don't make any sense. But give me your number 1 seeds.
Paul Sereno. I'm joking.
Paul
Sorrento,
a 3 seed, which is also comical.
What? A 3?
I told you this thing's a freaking joke.
All right. Well, Albert Bell. Hello, Albert Bell.
Albert Bell, not a 1 seed.
Not a 1 seed?
Which is also comical.
Well, Jim Thome.
Correct.
Omar Vizquel.
Correct.
Of the 90s.
Come on.
Manny Ramirez,
and this is the easiest one in my opinion. Besides Tommy, this is the easiest one.
And did they put Sandy?
No, Sandy's a 2.
Sandy's a 2. Who am I forgetting? Albert. I said. Kenny Lofton.
Kenny Lofton. That's correct. The 2 seeds: Albert Bell, Sandy Alomar Jr., and you know that Mesa for some reason is a 2 seed. And who's the other 2 seed that you're missing? One of the
Roberto Alomar?
One of producer Jeremy's favorite players.
I said Roberto Alomar, but I guess I'm wrong.
No, Robbie's not listed in here. Because I think he came to the Indians in 99.
He did. 99.
Yeah.
He only had 2 seasons. I'm looking at... Oh, Carlos Baerga.
Yes, Los.
Sorry.
Remember when Jer said that Los was going to have 3,000 hits? I remember 95. He's like, the way he's going, he's going to end up having 3,000 hits.
Talk about it.
Like 96, he ate his way out of town.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a fall from grace. Like, just what a great guy, what a great player. Like, hit from both sides. Was such
awesome.
a bridge guy from the old stadium to the new stadium, and then just all of a sudden, it's like. I remember when the Indians traded him, we're like, wait, what? How do you trade Carlos Baerga? But then his career just died in New York. Just died.
John Hart knew what was going on. He was eating and partying his way out of town. And Carlos, he's back with the organization all the time. They trot him out at games. He's walking around shaking hands at with suite holders and stuff all the time. Great dude. And he will even tell you. He just, he was young and dumb and partied his way out, which is too sad because, he was such a great player, that big smile, great personality. Who didn't love Carlos?
Yeah. No, awesome. Number 9, man.
Number 9. All right. 3 seeds. This is comical to me.
Is Julio Franco on the list?
Sorrento is a 3 seed, which is a joke. What's that?
Did they put Julio on the list? Because he played in the 90s.
No, Julio's not on the list. Everybody on this team was either a 95 Indian or a 97 Indian. Put it that way.
Okay, so not Dave Justice.
David Justice, no. He's a 4.
Oh, but he's on the list.
Yes, DJ's a 4.
Matt Williams?
No, 1 year. Come on. Matt Williams played 1 year. Matt Williams, the man who executed that unbelievable wheel play in Game 6 on the bunt. Oh, God. Matty Williams had such great hands. I mean, he was really, you look at his numbers from over 100 RBIs, but do you remember that stretch he had during the summer when he, was awful? Just couldn't get a hit. I think he had a 1 or 2 month stretch. It was just hot garbage, but he might have been the smoothest defensive third baseman I can ever remember in an Indians uniform.
Oh, God. You know what? He was. Charles Nagy's got to be there. What a bright.
Yes, Charlie Nagy, 3 seed. Correct. So you got Sorrento, Charles Nagy, and 2 more.
Hershiser?
Oral Hershiser is correct. And the 4th 3 seed? We talked about him the other day. Me and you and... It was either me and you and Jer or me and you and Seth. No, it was me and you and Forrest.
Tony Fernandez?
No.
That's who we were talking about. By the way, shout out to Seth Forrest. Maybe he's listening. Maybe he's not a longtime college buddy of mine who, is texting Todd and I the other day, or it might have been yesterday, hey, watching the 97 World Series. And I just wrote back, blocked. I don't want to talk about that.
Exactly how this went for him, because it did not go well for him.
No, I don't want to hear about that.
This is exactly what that text read. Okay. I watched Tribe Marlins last night. Forgot Tony Fernandez was on your team. You wrote blocked. I wrote, and then you wrote Tony went from hero to GOAT, and I said, and Seth, don't ever bring that up ever again.
Sorry. What about Eddie Murray?
Eddie Murray is correct. Remember we had that whole conversation about Eddie Murray and how many years he was on, because after the Indians, he was 39. You know what's interesting? You forget, when the Indians signed their big free agents in 94, it was Oral, Dennis Martinez, and Eddie Murray. These guys were all 37.
Oh, yeah.
And older. And Dennis Martinez was 42. And they squeezed 2 decent years out of him, which is pretty incredible.
At the end, Dennis Martinez.
Now, think about it in 2020 baseball. If, the Indians all of a sudden were we're finally going to sign somebody for big money. We're going to sign 40-year-old, who can I equate this to? I don't know. Who's a pitcher who's been around forever, who's, at the end. I don't know.
Who's 40 now?
No, just imagine so-and-so being like a 40-year-old version of himself who hasn't been that great.
Rich Hill?
Whatever it might be. I can't say Verlander, but like...
What about like Rich Hill or somebody like that?
Yeah, it would be like, ooh, they brought in Rich Hill at age 40 for $10 million.
But remember, when we got those guys here, we're like, wait a minute. Did we really sign these people? Like, that was like a really big deal because we never signed anybody. I remember when we got Keith Hernandez as a kid. Like, that was a big deal.
Came and stole that money, Keith Hernandez, for not even a full season. No, but you're right. But those three names at that time, Oral Hershiser, who had the Dodgers in the '85 World Series when he didn't. Was it '85 when he threw the it was like 48 straight scoreless innings or whatever it was, and was unbelievable and beat the A's. What
88?
What year was that? 88. Sorry, 88. Yeah. And we're like, wow, Oral Hershiser is here, and Eddie Murray. I mean, he's got, back then you didn't realize that Oral Hershiser was not a Hall of Famer, but he had that kind of cachet.
Hershiser's 97 playoffs was a disaster, but if anybody will say...
Cost us the World Series, probably.
But,
his 2 starts were terrible.
But if you go back and look at 95, and I remember this number, I may be off base. In 95, I think his playoff ERA for us was like 150. I may be wrong. You may have to look that up, but it's pretty close. He was unbelievable in the 95 playoffs. Really good.
Though, in 97, he did match in the 2-1 game, the 2-1 extra innings, game 3, where Omar missed the squeeze bunt and we won 2-1 in extras. Oral and Mussina were matching zeros for 7 innings, and I was at that game. That was something else. If no one could hit because of the shadows.
Right. If you just watch Mussina against the Indians in his career, whether it was Orioles or Yankees, he's a Hall of Famer just against the Indians.
But back to Hershiser, 97 World Series. He even said so. He was so awful. Moises Alou destroyed him in the 97 series. God, that was terrible. How do we get on this topic?
Who's the other player? Is it Jarrett Wright?
No, Jarrett Wright was a 4 seed. The 3 seeds were Eddie Murray.
Oh, okay.
Eddie Murray, Sorrento, Oral Hershiser, and Nagy. The 4 seeds, David Justice, you said, Jarrett Wright, and 2 more. One of them, I don't know how he's on this list.
Marquise Grissom?
No. 1 season, brother Marquise. Love him. What a great dude Marquise Grissom was, too.
Who am I forgetting? I feel like I've named everybody.
One hit one of the more famous home runs in Indians history, and the other one it was Dennis Martinez, who we just discussed.
Not Tony Pena.
Yes, Tony Pena.
He had one.
That's what I'm saying.
He had one hit. One hit.
I heard the top 5 seed who just missed the cut was Al Mormon.
And I believe Al Pulowski is a 7 seed.
Speaking of that 97 team, did you know that in 1997, during the summer, the Indians played the Royals, and Jeremy came out to Lawrence to visit me, and we went to go see the Tribe play the Royals. And the Indians made 1 trade at the trade deadline. Do you remember the 2 pitchers who they acquired at the 97 trade deadline?
Oh, man.
I think they came together. They may have been 2 trades.
Jeff
but
Juden?
1 trade. Yes, Jeff Juden and... you won't remember the other one because he barely did anything.
Not Bob Wickman. That was later.
No. Wickman came over in the Steve Woodard deal, I believe.
I don't even know. I know Jeff Juden was one. I don't know who the other one is.
Jeff Juden and John Smiley.
Oh, yeah. John Smiley was an Indian.
So Jeremy and I went to that game in Kansas City, and warming up before the game, John Smiley broke his arm warming up to start the game.
That's right.
Jeremy and I were there, and that was it for him. He never pitched again. And Juden ended up starting in that game.
Oh, so Juden was like the emergency starter.
Wore number 7 in 97. Great trivia right there, because Kenny, it was his 1 year gone. Jeff Juden wore number 7.
I remember when Kenny Lofton came back for the 3rd time. What a monster.
In 07? Oh, that was fucking fantastic.
It really was. Really
Crowd
was.
loved it. It was not only was it great because he really did a great job. It was such a good PR move down the stretch.
And he played really well.
That's what I'm saying. He was good on the field, but oh my God! I mean, he came back. People were, there was that giant stretch of time before 07. Well, really before 05 because they were good in 05. But that stretch from 01 to 05 when the Indians were shit, people just like abandoned the team, and a lot of people have not come back. But they were really abandoned during that time period.
Yeah,
and so bringing back Kenny in 07 was, it's pretty magical, especially when Skinner threw up that stop sign.
Okay, yeah, that's enough. We went to a game. I brought my then girlfriend at the time, now my wife, to, I don't know if it was game 3 or 4, and you got us tickets. We sat out in right field, the two of us. That was the Lofton homered in that game.
Was that Paul Bird or was that Westbrook?
Westbrook.
Westbrook was 3. Bird was 4 because we had it all lined up.
Yeah.
For CC and Carmona to win one fucking game.
Oh God.
I will say this about CC.
That 07 team, just awesome.
Love it. If we had to rank our favorite of these Indians teams of our lifetime, obviously most people our age would probably say 95 Tribe was their favorite.
For sure.
To me, my favorites, yes, the 95 Tribe was super awesome, and I loved it because it was so new. 94 was super awesome. I think the 07 team and the 97 teams, just because of how things went down, there was no more fun team to watch than 95 Indians. We used to bludgeon everybody, and it was unbelievable. But, at that point when we got to October, we just expected to win. But in 07, nobody picked us. One of your favorite things of all time for the Indians was Wedge deciding not to go to CC on short rest and going to Paul Bird in game 4.
Magical. I was tweeting with Bird about it like a month ago.
Yes, you were.
What a great guy.
That team, I just love that team. It was really a cast of kind of misfit guys. Ryan Garco. Think about the guys who played the key roles. Ryan Garco, Franklin Gutierrez,
Trot Nixon. Oh, yeah. Come on. How they clinched to go to the second round. Joe Borowski's throwing like 88 miles an hour. Posada's putting balls in the upper tank just foul. Finally, Borowski got him to swing and miss, but it was like this slop in the dirt.
Oh my God, he was.
And then Paul Bird sprinting out of the dugout. And come on, Paul Bird sprinting out to hug Joe Borowski.
That's crazy when you look back at it. Borowski, I think, led the American League in saves. He had 40. I remember he had 46 saves, and his ERA was 5.04.
Oh, he was a mess.
We used to get worked up about Bob Wickman, and he'd always put guys on, but he'd always get out of it. Borowski was the worst with that. And I think they tried to come back with him in 08. We all thought it was a huge mistake, and he flamed out in a month.
Pretty awesome, though. It was a really very, very likable team, like you said.
Rafi right and Rafi left. Come on, Ben Court, the realtor.
He's a top 5 favorite Indian of all time for me, I think.
I love that dude.
Took forever on the mound, and who cares? It was awesome.
He was one of these guys that they plucked out of absolute nowhere, and he was really, really good.
Yeah,
I love Rafael Betancourt. Did they let him walk? Was he a free agent and he went to
Colorado?
He went to Colorado.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. They let him walk, which was the right move.
How many years, if you had to guess, how many years did Rafael Betancourt pitch for the Indians? Give me a guess.
4? 5?
6 and part of 7 seasons.
How about that?
And his numbers in 07, 5-1, 1.47 ERA in 68 games, 79 innings pitched. He had 64 strikeouts, 25 walks, 40 earned runs. Those numbers don't look that great now, but I just feel like he always got out of everything.
He threw really hard. I think he lulled everybody to sleep with that slow delivery and just sort of stood there at the belt forever. And I remember Jim Leland in Detroit. We had a stopwatch going, and they were trying to protest stuff, and didn't matter, And then you went, and like you said, you went to Rafael Perez from the left side, who was just throwing that slider. Didn't throw very hard, but that was a nice 1-2 punch.
He had 80 strikeouts in 79 innings, and he only walked 9. I was reading the 08 numbers. 80 strikeouts and 9 walks in 79 innings. That's pretty good.
Oh, masterful. What a masterful job by Eric Wedge that summer. Oof.
You and I are big Wedge guys. I'll tell you this. Unpopular opinion, and I know you'll agree with me. I'll take Eric Wedge over Mike Hargrove any day of the week as my manager.
For the job that Wedge did with the cast of characters that he had in 07, I can't argue that. I can't. I know Hargrove's a legend, and he played there, and he's still in the community, and
great guy,
Sharon and Mike.
About as a person.
Oh yeah.
Straight up as a tactical manager, give me Eric Wedge over Hargrove. You and I've said this to you probably 1,000 times. You and I could have managed the 95 Indians to the playoffs, okay? That wouldn't have been that difficult with all that talent. And I know that it happened like 2 or 3 years ago, or maybe it was longer. I think it was Bull and Fox had on David Justice, and they asked him about Hargrove, and he was like a joke. Like, we didn't listen to him. He'd tell us to do stuff, and we'd laugh.
Yeah, Justice is very opinionated. Democrat Dave.
Yeah, I think Lofton said something similar too. Like, I think it was Lofton made some comments about Hargrove, and they asked Justice about it, and Justice was like, "Yeah, nobody took him seriously." It was pretty interesting. I'd have to look them back up, but I remember basically they threw him under the bus, essentially saying, "Yeah, anybody could have done that job."
Yeah, no question.
And again, great guy, Hargrove.
Sure. Indian Hall of Famer, no question.
The great Jeremy Bilski went to Indians fantasy camp years ago. Said Grover was just salt of the earth, all-time great dude, like great storyteller, very open, So led the American League in on base percentage in 1981. Come on now. The human rain delay. Dad used to do a great impersonation of it. Oh my God! Meanwhile, on your 8th birthday backyard softball game, when the dude ran me over, Dad ended the game. Do you remember how Dad ended the game?
He went upper tank. He went into the he went to the pollster's roof.
Yes, he did. But he did. If you ever watch it again, he did the Mike Hargrove. He rested the bat on his crotch.
Yeah.
Fake doing the gloves up. It's hilarious.
And our buddy Matt Miraconda, former Detroit Titan, legendary basketball
driver's license.
I don't know, basketball manager. It might be a no. I'll have to ask him, but he listens to the show. He always reminds me, let me know when you're going to talk about your dad running down to the dugout, knocking on the dugout's roof and saying if Hargrove's awake in there. That'll be for the next show. No, the best dad and Hargrove story ever. So we'll wrap it up with this because this was my favorite. So we at 94 to however whenever 04, let's say, when Dad passed, we had seats in 162 in like the 5th row, which was or third base, and you could yell anything you want at Hargrove or whoever when they were coming back in. If it was, they would 100% hear you. Oh yeah.
So there was one time Grover got like a terrible short haircut, and we were getting like our asses just worn out by whoever it was, and he was out there for about his 5th pitching change, and he comes back real slowly. It's quiet, and Dad stands up. He's like, "Grover, maybe it's the haircut." And he looked up, and he gave Dad like this shrug and look. It was very funny. It was great. Yeah, that was good stuff.
All right, man. Well, we're 49 minutes in. That's it.
Content, baby. Got to deliver that content.
Hey, I don't know what new we'll have in the next couple weeks, but we'll hop back on soon.
we had no plan for this one, and this worked out quite
none.
nicely as far as I'm concerned.
That's right. All right, Dery Brothers Tribecast for a early April program. Thanks for listening from waitingfornextyear.com. Our good friend, Dr. Ben Hornstein, the Center for Advanced Dentistry. Please, like the pages, everything on waitingfornextyear.com. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple and iTunes. And we'll talk to you again soon. See you.